Hey guys, it's David. Welcome to the podcast. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking with Dan Tapia from Genius Marketing Systems. And Dan and I talked a lot about how do you position your business to be the authority in the tax space, and how you charge $3,000 to $5,000 per customer, and how the customers will easily pay it if you do the right messaging and the right expectation set for your customer. It is crazy how this has changed my business and the businesses of literally hundreds of other tax business owners. And if you like this stuff, please comment below. Please make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. All right, so I got Daniel here. Dan, you are with Genius Marketing Systems. Tell me what you guys do.
So basically what we do is, what we've identified, and let me just kind of take it back here, is that we realize that most tax business owners right now, any part of the year, they're always looking for everyone and anyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
For sure.
They're just trying to get everyone that they can because they're like...
Because they got bills.
They got bills, they got overhead, they got a team, and they're like, my team needs to be fed. But the problem with that is that most times, even with the tax business owner, when you attract the wrong people, and then you see this over and over, where you attract the wrong person, and that person refers the wrong person, and you find yourself getting too many of the wrong people, and you find yourself in a situation where you're like, I got too many customers not paying me enough money. And so what we do is we help you flip the script and market to one specific person and give you one specific solution, so that way your team has one specific answer for every problem that they come across. And that way it becomes much more easier to enroll high ticket people, which means that they know, hey, every time I go through this, I'm going to get a solution at the end of this. They're not going to be
for a specific problem.
For a specific problem. And typically you do it for a higher end client, and they don't give you those type of issues that most people will face throughout the whole year.
It's funny that you say that. Most people know, I think what you were saying is birds of a feather flock together. And I remember in one of my first tax seasons, this was back in late 2010 or 11, and I remember we were doing this promotion, and that was when I thought promotions in the tax business were good. I thought the way you get people is to put a marketing campaign and offer some sort of incentive. And so I thought, well, the way we can get customers is through paying a referral for acquisition. And so I ran this acquisition campaign to give cash away to somebody who would refer a friend. And so I got customers to come in, and I would say, hey, if you know somebody who needs to file their taxes, I'll give you $50. And so we did this, right? And I get one customer that comes in, and he's excited. So he's like, yeah, I'll bring my brother. And he brings his brother, and then he's like, his brother comes in, and his brother's like, oh, I got my cousin. He brings his cousin. And I was like, man, this really works. And then 30 days later, when all the returns are supposed to be funded, I never got paid on any of those because we used bank products to do it. And the reason we didn't get paid is because they all owe child support. Why? Because if you owe child support, your friends probably owe child support, and your cousin probably owes child support. Now, I know this is not the customer you're attracting, but what I want to get at from this is it reminded me of how many times, if you know a business owner, then they know other business owners. If you know a guy in construction, he knows other guys in constructions. And so if you're out attracting people, like you said, or trying to find the customer, you should find the ones that you want to serve. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly right. And also to that point, I say that because we've had people come through our program that say the same thing. And they're like, well, I was charging small amount of product. I was charging small amount in pennies really, and I would get them a good return. But then they would refer me to other people that had the same problem, and I got $200 from 5 different people, and I had 5 different problems for $200.
Yeah. So, I can see that. So how do you do this? You're saying that basically you help people get $3,000 to $5,000 by serving a high ticket or high net worth person. How do you find them? Because if I'm a tax professional today, and I'm coming to you and I'm like, well, Dan, look, I know about taxes. I know how to file taxes. I'm really good at taxes. But I just don't even know where to begin to start charging people. I couldn't even imagine charging somebody $1,000, much less 3 or 5. So how do I do that?
Well, I'll tell you 2 things to set this up. Number one, you don't know how to do that because you're targeting everyone. And so you don't know what's real out there, what really you can charge, because you're charging one person $50 for a return, you charge another person $500 for a tax business return as well, or even you're doing maybe an S Corp and LC switchover or something like that. And you're charging them the same price, and they're not the same type of customer. And they think, well, that both customers are like, one's getting a good deal, the other one's like, oh, well, I would have paid more for this, but I got it for cheaper, right? So I'm okay with that. But the problem with, with the reason why I say that is because oftentimes you can't charge more because you're still in the mindset of, well, I got to serve everyone. And because of that, you haven't really like specified who you can help and how you can help them. It's harder for you to target and market those people because, for example, I think I heard this saying where it said, if I was to sell a tax course, for example, I could charge $99 for it. Now, if I was to sell a tax course for HVAC companies, I can charge a little bit more for that. I could probably charge $1,000 for that because it's specific. Now, if I was to do a tax course for HVAC companies that are growing exponentially in 2022, I could charge any amount of money because there's nobody there. And that's a marketplace that I know that a lot of the business owners are in. And that's an untapped market that most people don't know about.
Because they're all alone in there and you're the only one who has the solution to their specific problem.
Which is why you don't have competition at that level because everyone's doing what everybody else is doing. Most companies, most tax business owners, the way that they market is they do this. They look around, they see what everyone else is doing, they charge a little bit under, provide a little bit more, and then everybody circles around and does the same thing and then everybody becomes a commodity.
Yeah, like everybody, you can get it anywhere.
You can get anything anywhere. And so the way we flip the script really is we help you identify who that person is, can pay you, right? And you probably already have them, and you probably already work with them, but you just haven't like really sat down and think that through and ask the questions like, how much does this person make? How many team members does this person have? How old is this person? And then what's that problem that they came to me to solve? And then you just repeat that same, what we help them do is restructure an offer to that person. For an example, we'll talk real quick, like an HVAC company, like I just mentioned. If they're making $250,000 a year, and they might have 4 or 5 people on there, then if I say a message that says, hey, are you making $250,000 a year as an HVAC company, and you have a tax liability, I can help you.
So you're being specific.
You're being hyper specific in that message, and by doing so, that person that's making that type of money, again, like to the point we had mentioned, they have friends that are in the same realm. They're doing the same thing with each other, right? They're all in the same circle.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they know. Well, they may not know people in HVAC, but they know people who make that kind of money.
Which is like a construction problem.
Yeah.
And that gets you in the door with the plumber. That gets you in the door with the electrician. And so, by doing so, by switching into the kind of the avatar, so to speak, you do the same thing for a different type of client. You could charge a lot more, right? And then also, one thing that most tax business owners, and I've talked to a ton of them, and you guys are, whoever's listening right now, probably does this. They do all the things, but they don't itemize what they do. So, and I say itemize because you don't list out the services that you provide, which every big company in the world does. No company in the world does not itemize what they do. They charge for everything. If you talk to a contractor, they put down the nails that they have to do. How much does the nail cost to put into the house? They do all these things. Well, why does service business not do that?
You know, it's so funny that you say that. We just had an event called Tax Growth Con, and we had a lot of vendors and sponsors and all these things. And so one of our vendors was our audio visual company. And so they're the guys who put up the cameras to record the event, the screens and all that. And when they sent me their proposal, I was kind of like, I wasn't lost, but I was overwhelmed because they list, I mean, everything from the 6-foot HDMI cord to the 2 extra batteries for the remote, to the extra cover for the microphone, to, you know, like, and they detailed it out. Now that obviously that's tangible in some respects compared to the service that we're offering. Well, I was paying for a service. I wasn't paying for products, but they like line item, cable $15, mic $37, and there was a big number at the end, it's a huge number. But they made it so valuable because, I mean, it was 4 pages.
It's over.
4 pages of just BS, right? And I'm there like, man. But at the end, you're like, all of this for that? Wow, like that's good. And then I get on the phone with them, and I'm like, okay, look, I see it's a big number of kids, and I see there's a lot of stuff. Am I missing anything here? He's like, we could be missing a few things in that list. And I'm like, there's no way, man. And he's like, well, you know, here's what it is, man. I'm a good company, and he gave me a spiel telling me what he could do for me. And at the end, what he said that was really kind of made it stand out for me more than anyone else, which was, hey, just so you know, like, I've been in this business for a long time. I'm very good at what I do. I have good references. And just know, I've done this for many people like you before, and I promise I won't let you down. And so when he said that to me, it just clicked. And he was a nice guy. And I said, okay, we'll send the money. And we wired the money right away. But the guy just kind of built so much value for me. And but by the way, he said he only worked with events like ours. He said he worked in the same venue we've been in before. He was very detailed in the way that he approached coming to me. So it's kind of think about like what you're saying. Like he doesn't say he does weddings, or he's not saying he's doing bar mitzvahs or whatever. He says I do events like yours. Mm-hmm. And so I mean, I want somebody who does events like I do. Like, right? That's what I want. I don't want the guy that did the wedding last week. The Johnson wedding down the street. I want the guy who does events like David's. Yes. Because it makes me feel like I'm getting because I would have negotiated with the guy with the wedding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, it gives you certainty that guy is the expert in what he's talking about because he already knows the problems that are going to come up and he talks about them in a way that nobody else can in the world because nobody else does. And so his value is, it's basically he can't negotiate with you because he's the only person doing it. And
it was true. Right? He blew me away like that. And he told me, like, I do this event. He even drew a diagram. He's like, I've done this so many times. I know what you're going to go through. You won't have any hiccups. Right? So I was like, man, that's kind of like what we should be doing for our clients. We should be the expert. We should be the ones they know about. We should solve that specific problem. Because I really would have negotiated the guy that said I was at a wedding last week. I would have been like, oh, you're a wedding last week? Like, why would I? How do you know about this event? Well, I just know how to mount a camera and I know how to put up a screen, so I can do it too, And I'm like, no, that's not. I would have been already weary of his execution, and it really was the right idea, by the way. The guy's a great guy. So, anyways, is that tie kind of right? What you're trying to say?
That's exactly right. You build up the value by kind of I call it the itemized stack. So really, most service-based businesses, especially in the tax industry, because you're getting bombarded left and right, and people are just calling you whenever they want and doing whatever they want. But what we do is we kind of we help them structure and kind of just write down for them, like help them kind of tell their story in a paper here, and then kind of put it in a place where they're not just buying service or accounting or tax planning, they're buying a solution because nobody comes to your tax business because they want to do taxes. Nobody wants to do freaking taxes. They come to get a problem solved. So if you have a solution and a system to get that solved, you're the only person that does it because, I mean, obviously right now, if you're listening to this, you're the only person in the world that has this knowledge that nobody else does. And because of this, you have an unfair advantage over everybody else in the world.
Yeah, I would say that. I think about this a lot because once you exposed or uncovered this for me, every time I talk to somebody, I feel like I give them the same spiel you just gave me. Because, I mean, I'm asking you questions for the audience, but you've told me this a million times, and I'm like, man, this makes so much sense. And yesterday I was working with a buddy of mine who just called me for some advice, and he owns a martial arts business. And we're having a conversation, and he's like, David, just so tell me, like, why is it I can't make these sales? And I'm like, so what are you selling? He's like, I'm selling 6 weeks of martial arts. I'm like, no, you're not. He's like, what do you mean? I said, dude, you're selling kids confidence. You're selling teamwork. You're selling self-defense. You're selling, like, I was telling him the emotional feelings, the things that he's building in people. And he's like, yeah, I am selling all that, right? And he's like, so don't tell people they're buying 6 weeks of martial arts. Mm-hmm. Tell them, I believe that martial arts is the way to build confidence, build teamwork, create unity, have stability, security. Like, just say all the good words that a parent wants to hear, because it's true.
And add in there, it's free babysitting.
Yeah. That's another bonus, right? But bonus, babysitting, 1 hour. One way, But you get what I'm saying? And when you expose this to me, and I'm thinking like, okay, so this is important that he sees this, because if he sees it, then when he asks the parent, can you give me $300? They're just like, here, right? Like, you're going to do all that for my kid? And you can list it out. I said, list it all out, right? Because it's 6 weeks plus building confidence, 6 weeks of establishing teamwork, 6 weeks of, and it can be, it's itemized, like you said, and it's got to crush. Like, it has to, in my opinion. I don't even have kids. And I was like, man, I'd send my kids to this thing.
Exactly.
I hyped it up for myself when I'm talking to them. I'm like, man, how do I sign up?
I need confidence, man. You did it for adults.
Yeah, like I think that's what the whole point of building a stack is what you're saying, is really just to build. And I think in the tax industry, there's a lot of intangible things that people or tax business owners or tax professionals take for granted, right? Like peace of mind is intangible. The ability to say that I trust the person on the other side of the table doing my taxes, one of the most important financial documents of every year. I'm trusting them to get it done and to get it done right. And I want to be able to sleep at night if I'm the customer, knowing that it was done right. Like peace of mind, even though that may not necessarily be a thing you can gift and show and showcase, but it is something that can be itemized. Mm-hmm. Right? Would you agree with that?
Right.
Or the ability to have access to documents, even though that's probably something they're never going to use, but you can itemize it. Because if you do anything for a client, is what you're saying, anything that you would ever do for a client without charging for, then that should be itemized, is what you're saying?
Correct, yeah. And I think you actually did this in your personal business as well, right?
Well, I learned it from somebody like you. Yeah, we did that. We built a program called the Diamond Program, and it does that, exactly that. We just gave all the intangible things, intangible, just to be clear. I want to say that because I think a lot of people, when they think about how they can add value to their business, they're like, well, we can give them cups. And I'm like, well, that is a good idea, but cups are expensive, and you got to keep inventory, and you got to give it away, and you have inventory management, and then what happens when you run out of cups, and then who actually gets the cups, and who's going to hand out the cups? I'm like, man, I did t-shirts one year, and I was like, the first day I remember doing t-shirts to my customers, just because I thought it was going to be a cool, here's a t-shirt. One of my offices calls me and says, hey, David, we're out of mediums. I'm like, oh my God, why are we doing this, right? And another office, we're out of larges. I'm like, give them extra large, why? But it doesn't fit everybody. So I'm like, you know what, we're never doing t-shirts again. And if we do, which we did, I was like, we're only getting extra large.
All the kids would be one
I mean, I'm sorry, man. You can cut the t-shirt at least at that point. I can't make it bigger, but I can make it smaller, So anyways, long story short, I'm sharing this because I think that we all get caught up in these tangible things, when intangible things in the tax industry are very well done every day. Having the ability to talk to someone, giving peace of mind, delivering the return in a timely manner, communications above and beyond the actual tax return, the ability to have correspondence read and handled, meaning a letter explained to them, the ability to have someone in their corner when they're filling out their forms for, let's say, their new employer. These are things that maybe so much you're like, well, yeah, I would help them because they're my customer. Okay, if you're going to do it for free, you might as well at least put a value to it. Mm-hmm. So that the customer knows that if they weren't your customer,
they wouldn't get this.
Exactly, or they'd have to pay for it.
Correct.
And if they paid for it, they'd be like, well, I don't know, man, that's a lot of money. Well, it's a good thing you're my customer. Is that what you're saying? Sorry if I did this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's how you kind of, and that's one of the things that I shared this with one of the tax business owners, and they absolutely blew them away. And the reason why I blew them away is because they were like, I never even knew how much I was worth. I said, well, I mean, isn't that what you want to do? You want to get paid what you're worth, right? And she said, she looked at it and she's like, I'm kind of undercharging a lot by this, because even by doing this, I feel like I'm not charging enough. And that's what we want them to feel. At the end of the day, a good offer breeds conviction. And there's nothing on earth that sells besides conviction. If you're convicted in what you're doing, and that it can solve the problem for the prospect, then there's no amount of script, there's no anything in the world that can stop you, because your conviction will sell itself.
That's right. Your belief in the product or the service or yourself will drive it, correct?
That's absolutely right. And your conviction rises when you get more and more on the same person. So imagine this. Imagine you do the same paperwork every single day. How good do you think you'd be if you do that for 3 weeks straight? Just 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. And you just do that same paperwork every single day. Wouldn't it be just second nature to you? Your confidence would go through the roof. You could do it in your sleep. Now imagine if you're doing that for the highest ticket clients that you bring in. You're attracting that one type of person, doing that one type of problem, solving that one problem, and you can predict how their journey will look with you. And when you paint that picture for them, what kind of conviction would it have when you say, hey, this is $5,000?
Because you've seen it happen so many times, right? That's what you're saying.
Second nature to you.
Yeah. It's predictable. There's no way that it could be messed up because you've done it so many times, right?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
Baking a cake, the same cake every day.
That's right.
Same cake every day. And if you do it enough, you'll never even need to read the recipe.
That's right.
That's really it, what you're saying. And I see that, I think the challenge with most of our viewers here is getting over that to build the conviction. Like, where do they start to build that conviction? Like, how do they, and by the way, conviction is a deep-seated belief. Just to be clear, so we're all on the same page. It's a deep-seated belief, so deep-seated that nobody can tell you no, or tell you the otherwise. That's a better way to state it.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to take this kind of off the marketing part of it, but more into human psychology, because marketing is human psychology at the next level. And most people, tax business owners included, talk with features. They say, this thing is this. But really, where people think, the mindset of your customer is, what does that mean? So you get my tax business set up as an S corp. What does that mean? That means for you that you don't have to worry about, paying back on something because you changed the entity of your business. Now you can go to sleep knowing that this part of your business is taken care of. What about paying your kids, right? Now you know you can go tax-free, pay your kids, and give them a little kind of something,
allowance or
something like that.
Their education.
And that way you're killing two birds with one stone. What does that mean? That's where it really comes out. I call it the second and third order consequences, right? And that right there breeds conviction. When you're talking about the, I think it was a kickboxing or the karate. You're talking in second order and third order consequences, meaning like if someone works out, that means that their confidence is going to build up, which means that they're going to be able to dominate life at no other level.
Yeah, they walk into the room differently, they perform differently, their chest is up.
Correct. They walk in saying, I'm here, right? And so that right there, if you haven't written that out, what does that mean? What happens if you're, and an exercise I like to do with our clients is, what happens if they don't work with you? And I put it, even the reason why I know I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but the reason why I close at such a high rate is because my conviction is so high, because
that you can help them change their business.
Correct. The way that I help them change their business is the way that I believe that they should do for their clients, right? Because imagine if this tax business owner never finds a solution in marketing, and they're always serving the wrong person, and that person that they really want to serve is going away and getting burned out or getting burnt by some other quote-unquote accountant, or, I'm not trying to demonize anybody, but
that's true.
Imagine if that happens and that person loses their business because they don't have any more money, because that person screwed them over in the first place, and now they're bankrupt and their wife left them because they couldn't make it all happen.
Hard.
Right? Like, so it's the second and third order consequence, but you're not thinking about it.
Did she cheat on him?
That's where all the money went.
Yeah. But you get it right. I get what you're saying. So you're basically and I see this, what you're saying is that we must have a conviction that we can solve the problem for somebody, but we must be able to articulate that problem in a way that makes sense to the end user, which is, we think of taxes as being a service that we provide. It's a gathering of information that produces an outcome, right? But the outcome is not what they're looking. Well, they are looking for an outcome, but we have to describe that outcome.
Correct.
Right? And one of the things that I learned over the years in sales is the number one rule for me, this may not be for everyone, but it's like, I have to uncover what your real problem is. And I think that sometimes we as tax professionals think that the problem is they want to file their return before the deadline.
Correct.
And that's not necessarily, maybe that is for a specific subset of taxpayers, right? Maybe that is. I know that, okay. But the people that we want to pay us $3,000 to $5,000, their problem isn't, I want to file before September 15th or October 15th. Most of them have a deeper problem. It's, I've been paying taxes for years, I want to figure out how I don't want to do that anymore. Like, how do I get away from doing that? And if they go to their current professional, they're like, well, you could make less money, right? Or or you could buy a car or a truck or something. They would give them a generic advice or kidding advice, but they wouldn't try to solve the problem. So they come to us, and I'm like, well, tell me what do you want to do? Well, I want to stop paying taxes because I pay a lot of them, or at least avoid paying as much. I want to figure out what I can do with my money if I had some of that money back. Well, I always ask them, what would you do if you had the money back? And then they would say, oh well, I would start saving for my kids' college, or I'd start investing into the stock market, or I'd put more money into real estate. Like they know what they would do, and if they didn't, at least I uncovered it. Like if they didn't even have that idea and I planted it, they're like, oh man, well now I need to go with David because he's going to make sure that I get my X solved. And it's going to mean more to me. And I always tell them, so what would that mean to you? More financial freedom for my family. Okay, so you need to have more financial freedom for your family. Yeah, that's what I really, really want.
Yeah.
And I always do this because it's, I used to throw up on clients. And that's not literally, but I used to get to meetings. I even this morning almost did it. I met with a client this morning who we were doing a consult with. And the first thing I do is like, tell me about your business. And then like 3 to 5 minutes in, they're telling me, and I'm like, what? I did this all wrong. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. What prompted you to have a conversation with me?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, like what did you want? What
why are we here?
Yeah, why are we here? And then the guy's, well, David, I had a guy who's been doing our books for years, and then he decided like to not answer my phone calls anymore. So then I went to this other guy, and it's even worse. And then they're like, man, and then I saw some of your content online, and I thought, man, you could probably help us. And I said, okay, so what can I help you with? And then they explained to me, well, we'd like to have this in order and get this problem solved. And I said, okay, and you think I'm the guy to do that? And they're like, based on what you're putting out there, yeah. And then I said, okay, so let me tell you what I can do. And then I explained to them what I do, and then they were like, wow, okay, well, it sounds like we're in alignment. That's what the guy said. I said, exactly. I think we are, but I said, I still don't know if we were a right fit for each other. There's a few things we need to do, and then I went through my spiel. But I figured out that I need to ask them to tell me.
Why they're there in the first place?
Yes, because so many of us just assume, oh, you need your duct tape? Come on, sit down right here. Give me your paperwork. Oh, good. We got all the paperwork we need. Let's go ahead and do this. Mm-hmm. Because even if that was the solution, just to be clear, even if it was to file a return, I think that what you're saying, and is so true, is if there's no second or third feeling or consequence for them in their mind, or it's not articulated right, it's transactional then.
Yes, it's not transformational, which is
wow.
The guys that pay you a lot of money, they need a transformation.
Even if it isn't, right? Like even if the transformation, somebody would be watching this and saying, well, the transformations they save a lot of money. That's not really the transformation, right? What's the transformation for them?
The transformation is now they have the money to have choices. They can do what they want with the money that they worked hard to get. That's what these guys are talking about. Really, in their mind, they're like, I worked so freaking hard to get this money, and the Uncle Sam's gonna take all that from me, and I have nothing to say about that. Now you take your power back. And you guys, or the tax business owners, are giving the power back to the people that earn that hard-earned money that they deserve. So you're basically giving them the money that they deserve, in a nutshell, that they worked hard to get.
You know, it's so funny, but when you say that, because I felt that from this guy this morning, or it was actually two partners, and before I got off the call, I said, hey guys, I just want you to know something. We're going to do this review for you. We're going to come back with a proposal. I'll just tell you, I'm not cheap. I said the things that you want to solve, the problems you want to solve, the things you need to have in your business, the problems aren't cheap to solve, but here's what I'll tell you. I promise you I will save you more money than you have to pay me.
That's right.
And the guy was like, that's exactly what I want to hear. And he's like, all right, let's get it done. And so he sent over all the information this morning, and we're ready to rock with him. We'll have some proposals for him. But see, you taught me the system, and then what I did is I kind of went out into the world and tried to figure out who I wanted to share this with. And I'm now seeing that what you have done and created has been something very magical, very powerful for tax professionals if they really get it. So tell me, I guess, really, I mean, if Genius Marketing is a solution, do you guys work with other types of businesses?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, well, by the way, I think that's good. Like when we talked about this, and you said, hey, David, I want to start working with just tax professionals specifically. I was like, are you sure? And you said, yeah, because it's a good problem to solve. I think there's literally thousands of people that are in the tax industry that are serving the wrong people, or maybe they're serving the right people, but they're getting underpaid.
Correct. And that's most of them, actually, probably.
Yeah, well, that's probably 99.9% of them. There's a very small subset of tax professionals that get paid handsomely, if that makes sense.
But that's not our market. That's not. For us, particularly, we can't help you to that extent, right? We help you. We can't help you structure a system that allows you to bring in new customers that are like that pay you handsomely. But if you're already at that level where you're getting paid so much, you already figured it out.
Yeah. So who is it that we serve? Like who's the ideal?
It's the type of tax business owner that's probably been in business for over 3 to 5 years already. They've probably been serving the lower end clients. They have anywhere from like typically 700 tax returns a year, and they don't have a big team. And so typically it's a 1 or 2 or 3 man show, and the third person is a part-timer, and the other person is either a wife or
that's so funny, husband and wife, yeah, or a kid, yeah, got it.
Or a kid, and that's typically what it is, and they're burned out because they don't have any more bandwidth to work with any of the good clients that they actually want, because they're still serving and still like taking care of the relationship from the people that didn't pay them what they were worth in the first place. And so now they don't have the bandwidth to work with the kind of people that will pay them what they're worth, not give them any issues, rarely call them, and pay them any amount of money that they ask for.
This is so funny, Dan, because yesterday, so we got a coaching program, and yesterday I was on a coaching call. I swear to you guys, this is interesting because he just called this out. So dead on the money. I'm talking to a very nice woman, and I'm like, hey, how are you? And then I said, tell me about your business. She's like, we've been in business 12 years. I'm like, great, that's awesome. How many customers? 700 customers. I'm like, great. So how big is your team? It's me, my husband, and one lady, but she quit.
Gotcha.
3. And I said, okay, so tell me more about your business. She's like, I'm stressed out, I'm overworked. I said, how much do you charge? She only charges about $150.
Oh, that's even worse.
And I said, she goes, after going to your event, talking to you, I realize I'm not charging enough. And I said, so why don't you charge more? And she goes, well, nobody will pay me more. And I said, why wouldn't they pay you more? And she says, well, I'm in a street where there's a bunch of tax offices and everybody charges about the same. I said, so you're telling me nobody charges more than you? She goes, I'm sure somebody charges more than you. Does somebody charge less than you? She goes, probably. I said, so
what separates you?
Yeah, what's the difference between you and them? And she's like, well, I'm just trying to make sure that people stay with me. And I said, well, do you want all those customers? And she's like, well, I like them, but they make me work a lot. And I said, well, do they pay you enough? She's like, no. I said, so you probably don't need all those customers. And then I did some simple math, which anybody here could do. Is I just said, okay, so like say you had, let's just use 1,000 customers as an example, and they're paying you $100. I said, so you got 1,000 customers, they're paying you $100. You got $100,000. I said, that's good. Okay, good. You're making money. What if you did just 500 at $200? It's the same amount of money, $100,000, but half the headaches.
Yes.
And I was like, so what if you just did 250 at $300, and you'd still, well, no, you'd have to do $400. You still almost make about the same amount of money.
Right.
I said, so I don't understand how you can tell me that. And I wasn't rude to her. I was just trying to help her expose the idea that how can you not just convert a few of them to pay you more? And she was fighting me on it. So I let her win, right? I'm not trying to hurt people's feelings. But in the end of the day, I think there are a lot of people out there like her who are going to fight because they think that that's what the people want. Like they just want cheap. And not everybody's out there cheap, right? I think that, there's always going to be a Little Caesars customer. Right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But there still is Pizza Hut customers.
That's right.
And I guarantee, and I was thinking in my mind this, and I don't know if this is true, but I guarantee that even though you see a line down the street for Little Caesars, and you don't see a line of Pizza Hut, I guarantee they make the same amount of money.
You're probably right.
I bet you they make the same. Because Pizza Hut still charges $20 for a pizza. So they got to sell 4 at Little Caesars to get 1 at Pizza Hut.
Yeah, and what we don't realize is, again, those second order consequences. You got 1,000 customers, but each of those customers comes with their own baggage. Yeah. They all have problems. They all have child support. They all have divorce that they're about to go through that they probably don't even have real papers to do.
Yeah, like there's all these problems.
There's so many different problems. But if you serve 15, 20 people at 3 to 5, 15, even $10,000, what does that look like for your life?
I'll give you, because we're talking primarily about doing high tickets. So if everybody who's watching this could just do some simple math, because you really want to do this is easy to do, is look at your profits from last year. Profit, not necessarily sales, because sales obviously can always be a big number, but profits is where it's at, right? Net profit. But most tax business owners don't make more than $150,000. Like that's about the number, okay? And I'm not saying maybe some make more, some make less, but that's just what I've seen. And I'm like, okay, so if Dan can give us a system from Genius Marketing, they can charge $5,000 a client, right? So I got 5,000. I only need 30 clients to make the same kind of, we'll call it, that'll be my gross number. Yeah. But can I just serve 30 clients by myself? Like, do I need a staff? Now, it would be good to have one, so I'm not trying to get away from having people. But could I, David, just do 30 tax returns or 30 tax strategies or 30 tax planning or 30 customers, whatever they want to do with me? But 30 of them. Could I find 30 people and still make the same money? Right? And not have to deal with all the 700 problems, the 500 problems. Man, and by the way, we could do it from our house.
Yeah.
I hate to say it like that, but it's not because I don't want people to have an office, but if somebody's paying you $5,000, they don't have time to come to your office.
Yeah.
they got bigger problems. If somebody writes me a check for $5,000, they don't need to go look for me. I gotta look for them.
Correct.
Yeah, like they're not coming for me, man. And I would venture to guess that. Well, I know it because I see it in our clients. When people write us a $10,000 check,
you rarely hear from them.
Never. Actually, we may, but it may not be them. It'll be somebody on their team.
Right.
Or it'll be their significant other saying, hey, I just wanted to tell you we made a change to X. Or we need Y. Do you have a copy of this? But literally, if I had a touch points on a year, we have to touch point with them probably 4 times on our own side. But on the other side, probably 4 more. So let's say 8 times throughout the year.
Yeah.
For $10,000. How many of you guys would take a call?
Yeah.
Comment in the chat below, right? Would you take a call for $10,000 a year? I mean, just 4 calls a year?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how many?
$2,500 a call.
I'll call, like right? Right now, people are making $250 for 1 return.
That's correct.
Right? We're trying to do $2,500 for a call.
Yeah.
That's the kind of money. And by the way, your system has taught us that. And I mean, that's how we're modeling that in our companies. And of course, we knew that you were the best company to partner with on this because I wanted to showcase this because there's so many people in this industry that are struggling and they continue to blame the online world as their competitor and the person down the street and the other CPA, and they don't need to compete.
Yeah.
They just need to make their own lane.
Yeah, they don't need to be better. They just need to be. They just need to be different. That's the only thing, really. They don't need to be. They don't need to be better. You don't need to be better. And most of the tax business owners think that they need to do taxes better. There's really not a way to get better at doing the same thing that everybody else does. You just do something different. And you would inherently scoop up all the people that think that they don't want the same thing anymore. They're frustrated with the same thing, the same better marketing. They don't want better. Nobody, if you had to choose, if you told me I'll give you a better race car, I'd say, well, are you trying to tell me that my current race car sucks?
Yeah, I would say that. You need a better car. Like, what?
Are you telling me that my current car sucks?
Because that's what you are saying, yeah.
That's what you're telling your customers by saying I'm better than someone else. But if you said, hey man, I got this brand new car that hasn't even hit the market yet.
It's different.
It's different. It could be the exact same thing, just positioned in a different way. I call it like the different wrapping paper, basically. It's the same product, you just wrap it differently for a different person, and it provides the same solution, but you give it to the right person.
Well, it's kind of like when they release a new version of a car, like the new model, but it's the same car you already own. Like if you have a truck and then they release the new one, and they don't say it's the same truck,
yeah,
right? Just newer. They're like, no way, we changed this, we changed this, we changed this.
It's a whole different thing.
It's all new grill. They made it look pretty, and they did this and that, and then you're like, huh.
Yeah.
You might think about it, right? Because it's different than what you have. It's not the same thing.
That's right.
And that's kind of, I never thought about that. You just exposed that to me.
Yeah.
So now I'm not going to buy a car.
Yeah. Once a problem is seen, it can't be unseen.
Awesome. All right, Dan. So if people want to get a hold of you, I'm assuming you do something free for people, right? What do you do?
Yeah, we host a free training. Well, we can host basically a free training to kind of share with you how to get your entire marketing system kind of systematized for you so that you don't have to do it yourself. Because a lot of the tax business owners right now, they don't have the time to learn another thing to implement that they just don't have the bandwidth to, between all the clients they're working with, the team members they're trying to bring on, all that stuff in between. They need something that they can plug into that already works, and they can literally plug into and then use that same system to bring in the type of clients that they want. And an easy way that you can do this is you can go to geniusmarketingsystem.com and you can sign up there for free for a free training where we do.
We'll put it in the bottom in the comments section.
So we'll put a link below for you guys to go ahead and register for a free training to see exactly how we do this step by step. I even give an example, and I give away some free gifts on that training there that a lot of the business owners really enjoy from that training.
Yeah, and guys, if you're watching this video right now and you're wondering, well, is this different? I tell you, it's exactly different because there are so many marketing companies out there today. I mean, I get actually kind of annoyed. You know, yesterday, just a side note for everybody, yesterday I got a message from somebody who tried to sell me on marketing. But you know what he said? He goes, hey man, my name's such and such, and I see you everywhere. And I'm like, okay, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, man, like you're all over my feed. I've seen you doing all these things. And I said, okay, cool, man. So what's good? How can I help you? He's like, well, I'm in digital marketing. And I'm like, okay, cool, man. Like, that's awesome. And he's like, yeah, man, I want to see if I can meet with you. I'm like I was blunt for what? And he goes, well, I'm a digital marketer and I think I can help you. I'm like,
do what?
You just told me I'm doing good. Like, what could you do for me? Now, I'm not saying that's everybody, and I hate to be rude about it because I was kind of rude to him. But I'm thinking in my mind, like, I'm already doing something. Correct. Now, but he doesn't know anything about my business. Correct. He didn't even know what I did. He goes, "What do you do?"
Oh,
I'm like, why would you tell me what do I do? Like, the first thing you should know is my business. And so the way I'm tying this with you is that you know the tax industry. You only work with tax businesses. You are unique in that sense because so many people would target any customer. If you should ask everybody who is looking to work with a marketing company or an agency or digital ads or whatever they want to do, whatever form of marketing they want to work with, this is what I would say. Ask them who their clients are.
Correct.
And if none of them are in the same industry as you, that just tells you they're just like you were when you were trying to target every customer.
That's exactly right.
It tells you you'll take any return that comes through the door. Well, they'll take anybody who comes through the door.
With the credit card.
And with the credit card.
Never forget their credit card if you're coming.
Yeah. So they're just chasing money. They're not solving the right problems.
Correct.
When somebody knows how to solve your specific problem, it becomes valuable to you. And so that's why we brought you here. That's why this is the best I think we can offer to people is give them the connection to somebody who says, I can solve just this problem. And I think this is the biggest problem in the industry, and I think this is the one that'll change and impact so many lives. So
cool. Awesome. Well, how's just kind of a side tangent here, how's Genius Marketing help you guys in your business?
Good. So first off, starting to work with Genius Marketing really got me clear on who I wanted to serve. And even actually at that point, it's still even getting clearer as I go because I was one of those businesses that chased everyone. I was one of those businesses that didn't charge what I was worth. I was one of those businesses that really did not have a lot of value behind everything we did. We did a lot of things for free because it was the right thing to do, or because it was because we felt like we were just doing right by the customer, which is still fair. We should still do that. But I didn't have value to them because I didn't put prices to them and I didn't articulate them well enough for people to say, oh, I'm getting this. Like I just did things, and then those become expectations when you don't outline them. And that's what I learned. And so working with Genius really made me start focusing on value proposition, right? And that sounds like a big word, but it was really, for me, it's basically saying Genius Marketing made me understand that everything has a value to it. Right. And if it's presented to the clients in a right way, then they value your business even more. And when they value even more, it becomes very easy for me to say that the price today is $3,000. Yes. And they're willing to give it to me. So Genius Marketing positioned me with the right mindset, because it really is a mindset shift, because going from charging $300 to $3,000, that's a 10x multiple. Yes. How do you shift that in my mind? It was really by me buying into me. Mm-hmm. I bought into me again. I finally realized that I wasn't really sold on myself.
Correct. And I think a lot of the business owners right now that are listening to this, their identity is, I'm a tax person. They're not, the identity that they need to say is, I make sure that, like, whatever in the industry you're in, right, that whole identity needs to be shifting, because tax preparers don't get paid a lot. But people that save a lot of money,
they make $15 an hour.
They make $15 an hour. So if your identity, the whole identity itself, if you own an early season tax business, you identify as that, and then you draw on that type of person, and then it kind of flywheels itself back to the same thing. You get the same thing and expect different results. Right?
I was coaching somebody this week, and it came from Genius. This idea is that I was talking to them, and they were like, "Well, David, who should we go out and find to do taxes right now?" And I'm like, "Who are you looking for?" Well, people who haven't filed. I said,
"Who's that?"
Well, who is that? They were like, "Well, people that just haven't decided to file their returns." I said, "So who are they?" "Well, I don't know." I said, "Well, do you just go out into the world and say who hasn't filed their taxes and somebody's going to see you? And they were like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, exactly, that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
I said, so why can't you say that you help people who have a tax problem?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what do you mean by that? I said, why don't you just say you help people who owe taxes? Because now you've identified, and by the way, and I said, I guarantee that's a smaller market than the people who need to file their tax return. But you would probably think, well, you don't want a small market, you want a big market. I said, no, because guys, you want to be able to say the message out loud so loud that people, when they have the problem, they're like, hey,
that's the guy.
That's the guy's got the problem, the answer.
Correct.
Right? Because I told him you can go put up a sign and it could say tax service, or you can put up a sign that says, we solve tax problems, or maybe, no, that's probably not the best one. It's probably going to say, I help people who owe taxes.
Correct.
And you put it up there, you're going to get people to stop or call or take action.
Even if you already have an accounting.
Correct. Yeah. But you can put the even, but just putting that up there, people are going to say,
it's like a Batman symbol.
Yeah, like
a bat symbol.
And then even if they don't have a problem, just trust me, when they drive home and they talk to somebody says, oh man, I've had this problem. Hey, I saw a sign that says there's this place that solves the problem. They didn't say, oh, I saw this sign that said tax service downstream, or CPA, or EA, or nobody thinks like that. They want to hear what you do, not what you are.
Correct.
And so you taught me that, and Genius Marketing has really put us in a position to be able to just say what we need to say to the right people. And well, actually, it's saying what we need to say so we only find the right people. Because I say the wrong thing to people all the time, which is I say what I do and they don't need it. So it's okay, because if I talk to a person and they can't benefit from what I do, that's perfect, because then I don't have to deal with a headache ever again.
Yes.
I only deal with the headaches from the people that I want to take the headaches from.
That's right.
Because I'm still going to get them, right? But anyway, so you taught me that. You helped Genius Marketing has helped me understand the concept of positioning myself and having the right message. You guys didn't come in, just to be clear, I want everybody to know this. This is not about getting some gimmick or putting up some banner on your Facebook page and it's all pretty and, artwork and creating coupons or discounts. Like, none of that is even needed in today's world. Like, today, you just have to have a message that people can resonate with, that identifies you as the expert in that problem. That's it. And it was so easy once I realized this, because before Genius, all I did was, it's Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day, everyone. We are still open and come file your taxes. So that is cute. That's just called branding. And it doesn't get me any customers. Like, even when people told me, David, you should do a discount for veterans, I'm like, probably should. That's a good idea. Right? But how does that value my service, right? Like, a veteran comes in and he's just like, well, I'm a veteran, so you should just give me a discount. Okay, well, we will, because we value you as a person, as a human being, and for somebody who fought for our country. But that's not a marketing tactic. Yeah. That's just good business.
Yeah, it's just part of doing business, yeah.
Yeah, and so people would say, well, we got to promote this. I'm like, no, we don't. Like, we just do good business. Like, I wish I would have learned what you showed us 10 years ago. Because I would be so much farther along in this game of doing taxes. Where I don't do taxes anymore, which I'm blessed. Yeah. All I do is just the consulting, and I get paid a lot of money to do it.
That's really good. And I think just real quick, I don't want to take too much more of my time, but I think the reason why, and I get this a lot, what content should I put out there? What content? I don't know what to say. All right? Do you ever get that?
Yep.
Well, the reason why you don't know what to say is because you don't know who you're talking to.
I talk about this a lot, which you taught me to, which is when I was first understanding what I needed to focus on, I realized that most tax business owners today are in some respects entrepreneurs.
Correct.
And because they're entrepreneurs, they chase every opportunity. That is the definition of an entrepreneur is an opportunity chaser.
Mm-hmm. Basically broke.
Yeah. Well, because they read a book and it's like, you've got to get seven streams, right? Yeah, 7 streams, right? Like, not 7 days, 7 streams. You're all going to get there. 7 streams. So they say they need 7 streams. So they open a tax business and they're like, all my clients need credit repair. So just open a credit repair. And then they're like, all my clients, they need insurance. Let's go over here. And then, oh my God, all of them need bookkeeping. Let's open a bookkeeping business. And then, oh my God, all of them need a loan. And then they go into this big thing about opening all these things. And so they're all excited because they have all these multiple businesses and they're all succeeding, which they're not really succeeding.
Yeah.
They're all okay businesses. None of them are killers.
All of them stay the same profit
Correct.
throughout the year.
Correct. So they're all flat, but they feel really good about themselves. But when they get to social media, you know, if I had a cap here, they'd be like, oh man, I want to go live right now. I want to share with the world. They can come do this with me. But what could they come do with me today? That was me, man. I was like, let me see. Today is what, April 13th? You guys come do your taxes. Oh, April 19th? Hey, come get some insurance. Right? And then, you know, May 32nd, or 32nd, I'm making up days. June 1, right? Hey guys, we do bookkeeping. You know, and then like, eventually I get frustrated. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
This doesn't work.
No, it's not that that would say that too, but I would just say like, I don't even know what to talk about anymore, so I'm just not going to do anything.
That's right.
I'm just going to post a picture of me on Facebook today, right? Entrepreneur, business owner. That's it, right? I'm just a business owner. That is it. They come to the settling conclusion that that's what it is. Because I was there. And so...
I saw it.
Yeah, I know. But you, well, yeah, that's why you helped me. But let me tell you this, because this is what Genius got me out of. Because if you literally, anybody who's here, I'm going to have my Facebook page in the comments or in the description. Go to my Facebook page and see if you could scroll back to, let's say 2018, okay? And look at 2018 on my Facebook page. Now, I mean, I'm not trying to get you guys to stalk me or anything. I'm just trying to tell you, look at this. Go look at my Facebook page and look how many times from 2018 to 2000, let's say 20 or 19, for actually go even further. How many times I talked about taxes? How many times I talked about insurance? How many times I talked about anything specific to a business that I was in? And I guarantee it's going to be so small. Everything that I would post was quotes about success or things I was doing in life, changes in my life, purchases, investments. I never talked about my business because I didn't know what to say. And so when I got with Genius, I realized the reason I was having so many problems is because I wasn't focused on one thing. And once I figured that out, it was so easy. And if you go to my Facebook now and look at it, you're going to see only videos all day, images, videos, content, everywhere I go with the same thing. We solved this problem, and that's it. And once I did that, it's so easy to open up my phone and just talk about something because it's always the same thing. And it became like life got so easy. So most tax business owners are dealing with what I was dealing with. And I talk to them all the time. And I can't tell them that they're going through that because it's hard to hear it. I've got to show them. And then I tell them, like, if they're working with me, then I always tell them, hey guys, look, what are you doing with your marketing? Well, we got all these direct mails, or we decided to go on TV this year. I'm like, to say what? That we do taxes. And then I coach them through you do tax approved. Everyone, anybody who can breathe, anybody who can file their taxes. Anyway, so long story short here, when I started working with Genius and I started to figure this out, it really changed my mentality. And all I can do now is just think about one thing. I can sleep better, I can work better, all my research, everything I do every day, all the tasks are all in one aligned way.
Cool. I bet that feels good.
It feels great every day, no joke. It really does, because I don't have to think anymore. Because it was very hard to say, what do I have to think about that we're doing today? It's so hard. Like, you can still own multiple businesses, just to be clear. I'm not trying to get people to say, hey, don't do this. I would just say, if you're going to do something, if you want to be known for something, be known for one thing.
Correct.
And then once you do that, you'll find that you find a following, and then you can say, okay, I've decided to expand to this, but that takes a long time. Like, that's not 6 months, it's probably 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. And I hate to say it because I don't want people to think that they got to get bound to this, but if somebody's paying you $3,000 a year, I think I could get bound to it. You know? You know what I mean? Like, get 100 of those, just do a few million a year, not really do much. I'm all in. So I'm sold on Genius Marketing.
Nice.